Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allah Akbar. Deus não perquia sincero. Tipo de um barrigu. Dá perguntar. Já. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Amen. Kyrie eleison. Civil master sabregatahi. Sabe sata bavantu sukita. Pagabia. Umbuntu. Shabon. Aquaba. Upendo na Sheshe. Kamusunida. Domo arigato. Lumayelo wakanto. Takado kashingu. Yabu hinji kwa blessings from the God. Atajama yata hanami. Aho.
Namaste, Assalamu alaikum, Shalom, Ni hao, Buenos dias, Heseche, Aquaba, welcome. What up, though? Today, we've got a story from Scandinavia. This story is shared from one Hans Christian Andersen from Denmark. The story is The Ugly Duckling. And principle we consider whilst we share this story is the principle of saudade. Saudade within the tradition of Brazil and the language of Portuguese means sadness, melancholy, lamentfulness, likeness. It is an experience of shared sadness. And it's through that sharing of the sadness that there is comfort,
Thank you.
bonding, saudade. So this is the story of the ugly duckling. There is a duck, and she is sitting on a nest. In the summer, while all the wildlife around the pond is buzzing, it's green and strong, and she's sitting there and sitting there and sitting there, being so patient, waiting on those eggs to hatch. And so she's watching the scene of the pond going around, all the activity, all the animals, the trees, the wind, the water, all that's going around about green and yellow and blue, just summer days. And eventually the eggs begin to hatch. And she says, oh, finally, thank you. So the eggs one by one hatch, and oh, look at the ducks, look at the ducklings, they go into the water. And so she gets up and counts the ducklings, and she says, is that it? Is that all of them? Oh, wait a minute, there's still one further, that big one, that big egg that I've been sitting on all this time, big egg. So she goes back and sits on it some little further. And she says, oh, this big egg, I had questions about this one. And there a few ducks walk by and say, oh, you still sitting on that egg, are you? And she said, yeah, I got to do it. Might as well. And they say, oh, that's a big egg you got. That's probably a turkey. I had one of those myself one day. It's probably a turkey. You got stuck with a turkey, you did you? She said, I don't know. We'll see. So she sits on it a little bit further, and indeed it starts to hatch. And oh, she says, finally, thank you. So, as it hatches, she takes a look and, oh, hey, what is that? Ugly. You don't look like the rest of these. Now, these look kind of nice. I can see myself in those, but this one right here, what is that? So she says, I probably got a turkey. It's probably a turkey. And she says, well, we'll see soon enough. We're all going to the water. Let's go. So she takes them to the water, Plunge, plunge, plunge. Each one goes in, and oh, look at them swim. All fast. Take fast to the water, they do. And here comes the big floppy one, the ugly one. Let's see what he can do. And he goes in. Whoo! He can swim. Ah, fancy that. It's not a turkey. Alright, that's okay. Turkeys are fine, but this one's not a turkey. So she continues to swim around the pond, shows him how to paddle, what's what in the pond, who's who in the pond, and she introduces her brood to the animals in the vicinity. And as her ducklings are being evaluated, they say, "Oh, look at that one! Oh, what's going on with that one?" And they start to razz that ugly duckling a little bit. And she said, "Hey, what up now? Careful what you say now. That's my duckling now. And yeah, he may not be as pretty as the other ones, but he swim kind of nice though. So he's got that going for him." But they don't care. He look ugly. That's enough for them. Blah. And you know what? He gets so much negative attention from the other animals that even the other ducklings around him, from his same hatchling, say the same thing. "Oh, look at you, ugly. Yeah, get away from us, ugly. You're ugly. Stay away from us, ugly. Ugly." And day after day, oh, bother, sad. What's going on? Why everybody treat me like this? Abuse day in, day out. Comes from all about, such that he got to go. It becomes too much. So as he matures, takes to the water, still the duckling, but has to go. He makes his way to a distant part of the pond, and he falls in with the geese. And after all the persecution day in and day out from the ducks, he goes to the geese. He says, "Maybe the geese can get along with me better." And the geese say, "Yeah, look at you, you ugly. Well, you can stay around here long. You don't try to make nice with any of our lady folk, any of them geesey." He says, "As long as I can stay out, I don't care. It's cool." But he finds that again, ain't gonna find the company, ain't gonna find the family, the community. Just gonna get the harass. So it continues on. He finds to the edges of the pond, distant part of the pond, he finds the wild geese. Maybe you can find a home with the wild geese. And indeed, the wild geese say, "Hey, look at you. You're ugly, but you can hang with us. That's all right. We got some people who like ugly. We even got some nice lady geese that like the ugly. Come on, hang with us. You're cool. That's all right." He says, "Oh, maybe there's something here." And so as they begin to make their way to where the wild geese stay, all of a sudden, pop, 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 bang! And the two geese he talked to, the wild geese, oh, they fall down. And again, bang! Bop! Scatter, scatter. And bark, bark, bark comes out. The hounds come out and grab the two geese. Hunters in the midst, shooting up the wild geese. And the ugly duckling don't know what to do. Froze, what's going on? And the dogs, the hounds, just jump right by him onto the other wild geese. And he thinks, aha, maybe it ain't so bad being ugly. Even the dogs don't want me. How about that? So he continues on his way. Now, the summer progresses into autumn, and autumn progresses into winter, and he continues to try to find a place where he can be at home. But the winter gets cold, and the water gets cold, and the water freeze. And he paddles as much as he can in the cold water. But the water turns ice, slow, all around him. So that all he can do is paddle in a small circle until even that little circle where the water is become ice as well, and he becomes frozen up with it and slows down himself, and that's where he stays. Now, as he becomes stilled in the frozen pond, there is a countryman who happens to walk by, and he sees the ugly duckling froze up on the pond. He says, "Oh, let me help the ugly duckling out." So he brings him back home, gives him some warmth, brings him back into the house, and the ugly duckling comes to a wee bit. And the countryman has a wife and has children, young children, and the children delight in having the ugly duckling in the house, and they go to pet him and treat him, but the ugly duckling is scared. He don't know who they are. He heard the bat before, so he gets flustered and he begins to flap about, and he falls into a batch of flour and spreads the flour all over the kitchen floor, all messy. And now the country wife she's mad. "I'll get that duck out of here, blah blah blah." And the children chase after the duck, and the countryman says, "Oh, got to get the duck, get the duck." And the duck runs out. The ugly duckling runs out to the house, back into the cold, and just says, "Oh, that's too much chaos. Well, I don't know what's going on there." So he goes back into the cold, and he sees a light coming from a small shack. And so he decides, maybe I see some warmth there, maybe I can find something there. So he finds a crack in the shack and stays in back. And kind of conks out for the evening in the shack. When he wakes up, he finds that there are beings in the shack. There is a cat and a chicken and a lady of the shack, who is the steward. And so now the chicken and the cat say, who's this? What's going on? Who that? And so the lady says, "Oh, it's a duckling. Maybe we'll be able to get some eggs from this duckling. We're going to get something from this duckling. Let him stay here for a little while." Now, the cat and the chicken ain't too happy about this because they're very proprietary over the surroundings. So, because the lady of the house, the lady of the shack says, "Let's check it out. Let's see what we can get." The chicken and the cat say, "We'll see." Now, days pass by, weeks pass by. Oh, don't look like it's a duck laying or an egg laying duck. It's just an ugly duckling, that's all. It's a guy, it's a dude. He ain't doing too much for us, but he ain't hurting us too much either. So I guess as long as he don't cause trouble, he can stay. So now the chicken and the cat not too happy about that even further. Now the cat can do something special. He can purr, and he can do that sparks with his hair, with his fur. He can make sparks happen. And the chicken lays eggs, so that does something for the lady of the shack. So the chicken and the cat let the duckling stay, the ugly duckling stay, but harass. And the ugly duckling doesn't like the harassment, but doesn't like the cold either. So just tolerates it, takes it, accepts it, absorbs it. And day in, day out, the cat's like, "Oh, you can't purr like I can. You can't make sparks like I can." And the chicken says, "Oh, you can't lay eggs like I can. So what can you do? What do you do?" And the ugly duckling says, "Well, you know what? I like to swim. I like to go in the pond." And the chicken says, "Swim? What? What benefit is that? What are you talking about, swim?" And the cat says, well, yeah, what are you talking about swim? What is that? That doesn't do anything for the lady in the shack. And the ugly duckling says, oh, but it's nice to swim. And it's such a fantastic feeling when you go underneath the water and you feel it like that. Go all the way to the bottom and come to the top. Ain't nothing like that in the world. And the chicken says, oh, get out of here with that crazy talk. You best be careful. You're lucky you can stay like we let you to, but we don't want to hear all that talk about swimming and all this other stuff. Just mind your business and just know where your place is. Don't give us that talk. Don't give us that. And cat say, yeah, ditto. Chicken say, yeah, ditto. Lady Shack say, he's not laying eggs. So the harassment continues, and it gets so much so that Ugly Duckling's got to leave again. Can't take it in the shack either. So he ventures back out into the cold. Now, the way the story told, it wasn't a pleasant winter. Too much to say within the malaise. We just fast forward to spring. And as spring emerges, at the very beginning, when the snow was still a wee bit thawing, the ugly duckling sees two big birds arrive at the pond and says, oh, those some fine looking birds there. Wonder what it's like to be like that. And the birds fly off. The ugly duckling makes do. We're in the beginning of the spring. Continues on to the middle strong part of the spring, and by this point the ugly duckling notices that the wind is a little bit stronger, a little bit further confident, but still alone, sad, even fearful. And there are those birds again, the fine looking majestic birds, the big birds that he sees before. And he says, yo, I don't care any longer. If they kill me, whatever. They don't accept me, whatever. I'm going to approach because they just look so majestic. I like them. I like their style. So he approaches and he says, yo, you can call me worthless. You can call me ugly. You can do whatever you want. I'm just here. Whatever. What's going on? And so the birds say, and as the ugly duckling begins to discourse with the birds, he takes a look down at the water and he finds that he himself is one of those majestic birds with the long necks and the expanded wings. The swan it is, in the dignified, regal nature. And as the ugly duckling is making this recognition of being a swan and being of the swan, a few children arrive at the pond and say, hey, there's another one. This is a new one. And this one is even fantastic, further fantastic than the others. So the swan becomes encouraged, strengthened, embiggened by this actualization, but not flowery words get too floaty in the head, because the nature of dignity and regal is one of balance, and the ugly duckling becomes swan, knows enough of life by that point to know that path. So that's the story of the ugly duckling, and coming from the Scandinavian tradition of Denmark, written by Hans Christian Andersen, whilst we maintain consideration of the principle, the experience, the bond of Sadaji. Namaste, assalamu alaikum, shalom, zaijian, adios, te chakris, sempin na asamurgu, kile ufed. One love and peace. Ah, them talk about these stories. We do our best within these stories to optimize the legitimacy within the stories, our pronunciation, the language, the sources from which we derive the stories, and the manner in which we inform and inspire authenticity within the recipients of these stories to continue the legacy, the inheritance, the treasures of these stories. There are treasures. These stories are rich, and these stories have responsibility. We share these stories with the purpose, with the guidance of knowledge of self, to get a better knowledge of ourselves, an understanding of ourselves, a respect for ourselves and for each other, to better live in peace, harmony, prosperity with ourselves, with each other, with attunement with the Tao, the path, the way, the Dharma, the great mystery, the will of God. In any and all the ways we understand that. One universe, one love and peace.